Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's going to be perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Want to see that obscure arcade game that everyone's forgotten about? You've come to the right place. Want to see that edutainment title you played on a microcomputer as a kid? You've come to the right place. We're now in 1980. If you're just catching up with us, we're playing every game released in alphabetical order. We played everything in the 1980s we could find a release date for. Now we're playing everything else released at some point in 1980 in alphabetical order. Our last game we played was Hustle for the TI-99, which is the home computer by Texas Instruments. I know this display says TI-99 4A. Technically, the 4A hasn't come out yet, and we're actually playing on a 4A, but this title was only for the TI-99. So any sticklers or Texas Instruments fans, yes, this is 1980. This is only a TI-99 at this point. Okay, so after Hustle, our next game is... All right, we are in the arcades, and this is Intruder. Let's see what Intruder is all about. Let's take a look at the artwork first. This is the advertisement flyer for Intruder from Game Plan. New laser-based challenges, skill, and promotes proved profit performance. That's right, because it's all about getting the money. Intruder has the popular space motif, and they were calling these space games at the time. This is the newest space game. I'm not familiar with Game Plan, and at the bottom it says GPI, Game Plan Incorporated. So this might be one of the first Game Plan games we've seen. Keep your eye on GPI. I don't know. We'll see how it plays, and then we'll let you know if we're going to keep our eye on this company or not. And there's the example, a terrible picture of the arcade cabinet. It looks like for controls, it's our classic space game, left, right, and fire. Thanks, Space Invaders, for setting the control standard from what we've seen so far. There's the example of the arcade marquee for Intruder. Pretty cool marquee. But screenshot. This is a game program completely in black and white. We haven't seen as many of those. So compared to Galaxian, Mooncrest, and everything else we've seen in the arcades, this might be a step back, graphically at least. All right, and we don't have a manual, so we're just going right up to it and playing. Here we go. It is 1980. We're playing Intruder in the arcades developed by Taito, published by Game Plan. Oh, and it looks like they gave us some artwork around the side for Space War, which might be a different name for it. So let's switch that out. Since we're playing Intruder, let's get rid of it. There we go. This is Intruder, just so no one's confused. And yes, this does look older. This looks like something we would have played in the late 70s. The color scheme is something we've seen plenty of games, but very simple graphics, small sprites, at least graphically. And it also is using a game style we saw in the 70s, so it's not doing anything new. All right, so let's put a quarter in and see what it's like. There's my quarter, and we're pushing start. We have, okay, sound effects for the lasers, nice. Okay, so if you notice, we have a top and down ship at the top, ship at the bottom. I'm playing the red ship at the bottom, and it looks like we have a computer-controlled ship that's at the top trying to get me with lasers. So I'm trying to avoid their laser, and at the same time, oh, and they got me. We're getting points for the ships that we can hit. I'm looking for, oh man, it got me fast. I wasn't paying attention that time. So if you look at the very top of the screen, I'm seeing we have a fuel level, how many ships are left, and then the point for the score of the number of ships I got. So I'm almost like using these ships as a shield, and then at the same time hitting the ships so I can get points for them. Yeah, so the top ship, the computer that's playing blue, is doing their best to try to get me, but I'm using the ships as a way to blockade them. And this is a style we've seen before. There was another game we saw in the arcades that did a similar idea. So this was originally programmed by Taito. I wonder if Intruder was the release outside of Japan, since it was, at least we saw the published by GPI. Okay, let's put another quarter in and see if there's anything else to the game. I noticed that the color scheme is at the top menu is doing something where they're only displaying certain colors at a certain point. So trying to save as much memory as they can on the system. They already got me so fast. It's not necessarily difficult. I'm trying to see if there's anything more to it or specific about it. Because sound effects are actually pretty good. They're very good for the time. Classic, what you'd hear in the arcades. And I wonder how I get my laser shot all the way to the end. Like, can I hit the other ship or not? I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, so it does go that far, but yeah, I'm having to do a gamble if I'm even gonna make it to him and hit him. That computer is brutal. All right, so that was Intruder. We got the gist of Intruder. Not pushing any new ground, and not something really typical for the time. So I could even call it, if I was going to go in the arcades, from everything else we've seen so far in the arcades, this would be around a bad game. Because I wouldn't even say 2.5 stars. I'd say 2. So the best bad game you could play. I wouldn't go any lower than that because the colors we saw on the screen looks like it was a plexiglass overlay. So that isn't programmed into the game. So we're going to go ahead and go do 2 stars for Intruder. We could play it much better and have seen much better for the arcades at the time. So after Intruder, our next game is Invader from Space. Yes, another Space Invaders game on a handheld system. An interesting one. We got a box that looks like it's from Japan. So Invader from Space. Let's take a look at the artwork. Yeah, electronic game. Yep, this is the Japanese box. And there is the back of the box. It almost looks like it might be a tabletop, something you not just put in the palm of your hand, but you put down on something. But controls look like we got a fire button, and then you just move left and right, and then power, level, and start. And there we go. There's the example of the handheld. So you can see the bottom switch, move left and right, and then one fire button, a power, I guess what level you play on. And it looks like this is from Epoch. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is the very first thing we've seen by Epoch. Epoch is very, very influential to the video game industry. They're one of the first companies to make a console in Japan. And if memory serves, this is the first time, well, this is the first time we've seen them on the channel, but they create a system, I think next year is when we'll see their first home console for Japan. And this might be before that release. So this is really cool. I want to see if this even runs like every other handheld. So I'd love to see this boot up. Let's give it a shot because there's no manual like most of our handhelds. Here we go. It is 1980 and we're playing Invaders from Space by Epoch. And it did boot up something. Let's see if we have any controls that we can see for this. Looks like start, select, left. Okay, so it might run. Let's see. I push start. And it is. Okay, so we're getting some of the sound effects in the background. The simulator doesn't look completely finished. Like we didn't get the handheld. We're only getting the LCD display that they simulated. But whenever we want to play the game and start it up, you notice that it's not giving us all the artifacts for it. I want to be able to shoot a shot or move my ship left and right, and it's not registering everything completely. But we are getting the sound of what it would sound like. And this is harder to play a handheld because it's zoomed in so far. There's no way it would look like this when you were playing it. It would be so tiny. So one more shot just to see if I can get it to move and shoot. Okay, there we go. Yeah, and the characters even look like Space Invaders characters. That looks like the same alien that they used for it. So pretty cool idea. Okay, so we saw a few other, I'm guessing this is our 5th Space Invaders handheld, or a shooter you could play in the palm of your hand. And this would be one that was one of the first for Japan. So this is excellent to have a shooter like this that you could play. It's actually going to keep the score at the top too. So that's pretty nice. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one 4 stars. From all the other handhelds you could have played, this one's great. Okay, so after Invader from Space by Epoch, kind of foreshadowing what we're going to see in Japan. Epoch actually is so influential that the home console they make is called the Epoch Cassette Vision. And the Cassette Vision was so popular in Japan that they now, even today, refer to video games instead of cartridges like we do in North America. They refer to them as cassettes because of the moniker that Epoch invented back in the 80s. All right, so after Invader from Space, our next game is back in the arcades. Yes, so this is Killer Comet. Released at some point in 1980. We're playing every video game in 1980 released in alphabetical order at this point. Let's take a look at the artwork for Killer Comet. Oh, it's the same company, GPI. I thought we wouldn't see him again. So we should have kept our eye on GPI. Killer Comet, left and right-hand mode. Screen flip-flops depending on the mode. Oh, that's nice for left and right-handed people. Monsters attack in waves of 25 and hyperspace gamble. There's the example of the arcade cabinet. Pretty standard for the time, upright cabinet. And there's our control panel. Looks like we have left, up, right, a hyperspace button, and then a joystick control. Four-way joystick is what it looks like. Yeah, there's our controls. Oh, I'm thinking this might be asteroids. It looks like the similar controls, like they're kind of based off of that. Killer Comet. There's the arcade marquee. And let's see what we got. So screenshot looks like it's programmed in color. I don't know how this game works. All right, so let's take a look at the manual and see if it gives us anything else. So from GPI, Killer Comet. Killer Comet's a full-color 1- or 2-player action game that offers features guaranteed to capture and prolong player interest. Good. We want to prolong their interest. Controls for the movement is a joystick and hyperspace, and a tri-directional laser. Laser fire allows the player to steer their space pod around the screen. The video and audio system work together to make Killer Comet an exciting, colorful game with a variety of sounds. And then explains unpacking like we've seen. And there's installation. We're not going to install any arcade cabinets here. Reset mode, attract mode. Okay, so it goes through. Okay, and it does explain how to play. After you use simulated play, the top of the playfield, there's 8 different multicolored monsters appear in random positions and move in random directions toward the bottom of the screen. Each monster begins dropping a unique style bomb that explodes with a flash when it reaches the bottom. A space pod appears at the top center, drifts down, and floats around the screen. At random intervals, the space pod fires laser energy beams in different directions. One of these lasers hits a monster or a bomb. It explodes with a flash. If a space pod's hit by a bomb, it explodes with a large flash as well. This simulated game shows the potential player most of the salient features, such as being able to fly the space pod around the screen. I guess we'll be controlling the space pod. And the impending danger of being eaten. One feature is the intention not shown is the Killer Comet itself, which they must pay and play. Pay and play to see the comet. I wonder what that means. Final image of the attract mode sequence is the game over display. Okay, so they went through all the different displays. So pretty technical, but what we'd expect from the manual for the arcade. Okay, so for the game snapshot that's playing over on the side here is showing how when one player starts, you can see the pod that moves around and shoots. And it looks like you got free reign to shoot a laser on the screen. So it looks different than anything else we see. I thought it was asteroids, but no. All right, let's step up to the arcades. This is Killer Comet by Centuri. Oh, okay, so the GPI was just the distributor, but Centuri was the programmer for this one. And here's the attract mode. Let's see how this starts off. You can see the space pod is the one that's dropping from the side. Lots of very interesting characters. The sprite work is, it's still rudimentary, but they did some very creative characters. It looks pretty good. Okay, so let's put a quarter in and see what it's like. 1 credit for Killer Comet. All right, so push and start. Here we go. So I'm in. I can move, yeah, all 4 directions. I'm flying around as the space pod. And then when it's time to shoot, okay, there's my hyperspace. I got 3 different lasers. I have a laser that shoots left. Oh, got me. I wonder if that was the Killer Comet. So I got a 1 button for the laser that shoots left, 1 button for the laser that shoots right, and then 1 button for the laser that shoots up. So I have 3 lasers that I can shoot around, and then I have a hyperspace that can get me out of tricky situations like asteroids. All right, so here we go. Now this is the first game we've seen that has multiple directions for shots. Everything else has been following the same... Oh, how do I get this guy? Can I shoot it? You got to be quick. Now, the button layout that I have is not the most ideal. You have to make sure they're in the right spot. But this is the first game where you can shoot different directions. Almost like the beginning of what we now know as the twin stick shooter, where you can shoot multiple directions while you're moving another way. And this is the first game to ever do that. We are now playing where I can move in four ways, floating around in the space pod, but also shoot in different directions at the same time. Okay, I want to see if I can get rid of these comets. Can I shoot it? Okay, good. So I can shoot it away. Now I just have to make sure I keep the control set to continue to play the game. All right, so this is very unique. A new gameplay that we've seen on the channel that you can shoot in different directions. That's awesome. Oh, and I can even shoot the bullet. Oh, okay. So you can shoot the bullets, but if they sneak by, then that's it. Nice. Game over screen, like we're falling through space. All right, let's put another quarter in and start it up. One player is up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I like the character designs that they put on this. That's great. Still following where the aliens really aren't doing crazy patterns. Or, oh, I walked right into that one. They're not trying to go for something super difficult, but the multiple ways you can shoot is pretty cool. It's right when the new ones come on. I gotta remember to get out of the way of the screen. Or maybe work my way a little bit lower. Oh, that's right. And I also have hyperspace to warp myself to another spot. I always forgot about that in asteroids. If you get in a groove of asteroids, you forget that if you get in a tight spot, you can push a button to warp somewhere else to get yourself in a safe spot. Come on. All right, I'm going to try to go a little bit lower and let these guys come in. Oh, yeah, this is a blast. This is pretty good. You do have a little floatiness. It's not like you're running around on the ground as a character. You can feel the gravity of the space pod that you're controlling. Oh man, that hyperspace is tricky. There we go. And since all the enemies always shoot straight down, you know what to expect. And that diagonal shot is the way to go. Okay, what I'm looking for is the killer comet that. I was expecting something bigger or massive, and they're not giving me an incentive to keep them from going to the bottom of the screen like in Space Invaders or other shooters we played, so I don't know what happens if they go to the bottom, if it means game over or not. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we got new enemies coming up. These guys, the blue guys. Manual didn't give them any names. We got the blue guys, the green guys. Yeah, but sound effects are awesome. There we go. Oh, man. For the game over. Okay, so that orb must be the killer comet, the one that actually homes in on you and shoots after you. Okay, one more time because I'm getting more used to the control scheme. Let's put another quarter in, and I enjoy that we can move and then shoot in another direction. First time we've ever seen that on the channel. And it really adds to the gameplay. It makes it a lot of fun, especially when you feel controlling the space pod. I feel like I have more control and power over the other enemies because I'm shooting diagonally while they're trying to come at me only from the top, and all their shots only go down. So it feels like I have more functionality than the enemies in the game. Excellent. Okay, here we go. Going again. If you're just now joining us, we're playing every game in chronological order, and this is Killer Comet in the arcades. Never heard of this one, but this is the first game we played that allows you to move around the screen. Oh, how am I going to get this? And while you move around the screen, you can also... Oh, see, that Killer Comet came from the bottom. I don't know how to get that one. But while you're moving on the screen, you can shoot different directions while moving, and we haven't seen that yet. Usually, we always have the same shot, either from Galaxian, Moon Cresta. This is the first time I can move and shoot differently at the same time. And I even have one up top. I don't use it as much because it puts me in range of hitting the other ships. And then we also have a hyperspace that I can warp around. That big rainbow orb is the killer comet that homes in on you. Kind of similar to Berserk and the smiley face. Evil Auto. But even still, it's not overpowering. It's not unfair. Whenever I've lost, it felt like it was a reason because I did it, not because the game was cheap or anything. Well, I guess if I fly too high to the top and an enemy appears, then yeah, it's a little cheap, but not nearly as compared to other games we've seen. There we go. Okay, last life. Here we go. Is this the end of Killer Comet? Okay, there we go. And it's also programmed in full color, which is very impressive. I guess since we went from a black and white game to this one, that makes sense. There we go. Looking good. Alright, and there's our killer Comet. Oh yeah, nice. Racking it up. Also, that's interesting is they have a the scores based on your kills. We call them frags now, but it's not giving us points like this enemy's worth 40 and that enemy's worth 100. It's actually saying you got a 128 kills. That's very interesting. Too cool. Okay, so that was Killer Comet in the arcades. That is definitely at least 4 stars for every game we've seen up to this point. I'm going to go 4.5 stars for Killer Comet because it's the first time we've had this kind of gameplay. And it's, again, taking what we saw first with Space Invaders, then it was hit up with Galaxian, and then Moon Cresta, and now we have one notch above, and this makes the game so enjoyable. So I'm going to go 4.5 stars for Killer Comet. That's amazing. Okay, so after Killer Comet, our next one is Las Vegas. This is for the Philips Videopac, which I think we played a Magnavox Odyssey version of this, but if it is just... Let's see what the manual has for us, because it might be just... Or let's take a look at the box. Okay, it's Las Vegas Gambling. So, okay, yeah, we did play... Magnavox Odyssey had a fruit game, essentially, which was the slot machines. And so this one is going to be the same thing, but the European version. And so just like we've done with other betting or casino games, we're going to give 3 stars to Las Vegas on the Philips Videopac and move on. Our next game is, after Las Vegas, Laser War, also for the Philips Videopac. And so I think this one is another one we played on the Magnavox Odyssey. Well, I think we played this on the Magnavox Odyssey, and so it may be the same game. Let's see if it is. Here's the box for the Laser War on Philips Videopac cartridge 18. Laser War. There we go. Yeah, it was Invaders from Space for the Magnavox Odyssey 2. There's the example of the cartridge. Looks like it's just one game on the cartridge, the Laser War, and then an example of the game is displayed there. So the way this game works is when we played it for the Magnavox Odyssey 2, it's not the same like a normal shooter, or at least something we've seen. The manual may describe it a little bit more. Yeah, so it was called Invaders from Hyperspace, but the way this is played is you're going to be in control of a ship based on a certain color, and then every time you hit ships on your color, you can continue to play and create copies of them. If you get down to no ships, then you're out of the game. And so this is played with 2 people at once. I'm going to go ahead and plug in our second controller whenever it's ready and kind of show you how it works. Looks like we got different versions. We have the European or French version. We're going to play the version from Europe. Hopefully we can boot it up on our current system. All right, let's pop it in and see. This is a Laser War for the Philips Videopac. Does it load first time? And just as before, on our console, we push number 1. And there it is. Okay, so I'm over on the right side is the yellow ship. And you can see we have red orbs and yellow orbs. And whenever you move around the screen, you're trying to shoot orbs to change the color of them. And we have computer-controlled UFOs that are flying around. And if the computer controls are mixing the colors up and they wipe your color out, you cannot come back. As soon as you have some of your colors on the screen, though, you can use one of them as your base and then return back. So you're trying to get rid of the UFOs, change the colors of more of the planets to yours, so you can keep playing. So you can see I have a few yellows on the screen so I can come back, and I just took one of the yellows. Oh, they destroyed me that time. But the other player was blue, so if I take their... Oh, I'm sorry, red. So as soon as there's red on the screen, they can come back. And you see now I'm playing as the second player. They are back on the screen, and they're trying to shoot the planets to get more reds and keep more reds. So in a way, it's almost like we're playing a shooter version of Othello, or Reversey, where you're trying to have your color remain on the screen. So I'd say it works. It runs well and it's smooth. It's really difficult though with those UFOs flying around. And you can see now we're both out until our colors come up. And it's almost like when you're playing 2-player, you wait a little bit and then eventually you can pop back in. All right, so let me do a reset and pop that in one more time. So here's Laser War, which is the European version of Invaders from Space. And we'll do the same thing again. I'll push number 1 on the console. And here we go. On the right side is yellow, and we have plenty of yellows on the screen. As soon as the UFOs start showing up, you want to be able to pop them and see how they're trying to change the the different colors of the planet. So I want to get more to yellow. Oh, and they got it that time. The UFOs are tricky. Also, if you run into a planet, you blow up too. Man, but they're so quick. Those UFOs are brutal. Yeah, they're shooting so fast. Maybe if they had a different difficulty level, we could change it. So now there's no yellow on the screen, and as the yellow player, I cannot continue until one of them shows up as yellow. Yeah, so they keep changing. So the computer continues to play, and there's even no red as well. Okay, wait, one of them turned up into red, and then you take over on that side. So that is Laser War. The concept is a pretty cool idea. The way that it's delivered, it isn't the best. The difficulty of the UFOs is a little too intense. But it's still pretty cool for the time to play a game that's fresh, different idea. So we're going to go ahead. I would say this would be a little bit lower. I'd give 2.5 for the game itself. But since it's doing something that's unique, I'm going to go with 3 stars, which is our average for the time. So it has great idea that doesn't really deliver on all the fronts though. All right, so 3 stars for Laser War on the Philips Videopac. And after that, after Laser War, our next game is Le Mur Magique en français. So this is still Philips Videopac. This is the European version of Blockout and Breakdown that we played on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Let's take a look at the artwork. Here it is. Le Mur Magique is the French version of the Magnavox Odyssey 2 game we played earlier. So there's 2 different games on here. It's essentially a Breakout clone. We'll just pop it in first to see if it loads. The French version may require the French Philips Videopac. Let's see. Okay, it has something. It works. We're in. And, okay, so it is already starting off. It's the same idea. It's a Blockout or Breakout clone. And the only gimmick they would have for it is the players, little characters you see inside the blocks. They are, I think they call them demons in the manual, and they continue to add blocks to keep you to keep you going as you play the game. And then you can of course knock them down. You can see it, and they fall through, and then it keeps the game moving essentially. But it's Breakout, which we've seen, of course, on Atari as well. And this would be the French version that we saw earlier on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. So for the time, considering everything else you could play or have played, this works okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do 2.5 stars. I could go lower because I'm trying to think if it actually consider this bad from what we've seen. But no, I'm not going to say bad. I'm going to say 2.5 stars, just slightly below average, right there in the middle. So 2.5 stars for the French version, Le Mur Magique. And after that, our next game is Look Alive Football. Oh, nice. So if that's the picture of what you'd see on the handheld, that's pretty cool. This is another handheld electronic. This is by Mattel, probably trying to catch the same popularity from their original football that they had, the handheld one. Let's take a look at the artwork for Look Alive Football. I'm guessing that would be a brand name where the handheld, okay, you can see it's almost like a third person of the football player there. Nice. You're on the field. Shaped players. Passing, rushing, field goals, and punts. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. And there's the example of the handheld itself. Looks like we got passes and stats, and then moving left and right, and then how to kick and yardage. But the big draw to this is they're using LCD graphics with a color overlay, similar LCD that we've seen on the Game & Watch, but it's done with a view where you can they actually look like football players. There you go. Yeah, so that's a really zoomed in view of what it is. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's Look Alive Football, and we have no manual. Let's see if it runs. I do not know if the simulator... No, we have nothing to go on. So because we weren't able to play the handheld, we're going to have to sadly give it 0 stars. I love the way it looks, though. This would be something that is pushing more in the handheld space, but since we can't play it to experience it, we're going to have to do 0 for now. So that was Look Alive Football on a handheld electronic. Let's move on to our next game. Our next game is Mad Alien. Oh, and this looks like Highway Chase. We played this last episode. There we go, yeah. It looks really similar to Highway Chase. Close. In fact, I'd say it's almost the same thing. Alright, so this is Mad Alien. So we're back in the arcades. Let's take a look at the artwork for Mad Alien. There is the advertisement flyer. It is by Data East. So another Deco cassette. Oh, it is. It's got to be the same thing then, because Highway Chase was the first Deco cassette game we'd seen. It's an arcade game that uses cassette tapes to switch them out. So this means it might take a long time to load. There's the example of the arcade cabinet. I have never seen an arcade that looks like that. It's not cabaret. It's not technically upright. It's a hybrid of the two. So a Data East game. It's blending driving and shooting, mostly shooting. You can see the controls are left, right, and fire. And then we have an arcade marquee. And example of the screenshot there. The side of the walls come in similar to Monaco GP. Let's see if the manual has anything for us. Mad Alien Shop Manual. And looks like it is just parts. Oh, wait, let's see. Service. No, it has information on what you can do while it starts the game. Okay, here we go. Insert a coin. Press 1 or 2 players to start. The Mad Aliens appear in a group at the top of the screen, racing away from the car. Watch out. Mad Aliens may leave the group and turn back to attack the car. Use your lever on the left to move the car left or right across the screen. Sometimes the road narrows, making it difficult to dodge the Mad Aliens. Are they really, though? They look like cars from the video snap. Dodge or destroy the obstacle cars. Their purpose is to ram you. You must hit their tires to explode them. Lightly push the button on the right to fire. Your rockets can explode Mad Alien rockets in mid-flight. Don't forget that if you destroy a Mad Alien, they circle back to attack, and you'll receive double points for a chance to strike mystery bonus points. Don't destroy the attacking Mad Aliens. They will return play. You'll see them rejoin at the bottom of the screen. And when you enter a tunnel, beware, you cannot see. Okay, yeah, it's the same gimmick we saw in Highway Chase and in Monaco GP. And if you collide with the enemy, your car will explode. Oh, yes. All right, for different versions, we have 2 different sets. Let's take a look. This is the arcade. We're playing Mad Alien by Data East. What is Mad Alien like? There we go. It's got the classic Deco art that is around the outside. So usually you'd see this because the Deco cabinets were designed whenever a new game comes out, you don't have to replace the whole PCB. You just take out the cassette, put a new cassette in, and then you have a whole new game. It's meant to be ideal for arcade owners and vendors. All right, so the attract mode is playing. You can see they're doing the swelling of the sides like Monaco GP started, and then we just saw another game called Highway Chase. This one looks like it almost looks like just a slightly modified version of Highway Chase, the way that it is displayed. Okay, so let's put a quarter in and see what it's like. Go and push start. Yeah, it is different, just barely though. So yeah, it is a shooter at heart. You can see I'm driving, and the Mad Aliens, they look a lot like cars. But I'm driving around on the ground, but it's more of a shooter, fixed shooter, because I can only move left and right. There's no moving up and down. And I really enjoyed it when we played Highway Chase. Someone said it's like a hybrid of Spy Hunter and Galaxian, and that's true. Someone took the idea of both and said, well, Spy Hunter hasn't come out yet, but to add shooting to Monaco GP, that's the way to go. Oh, and saying shoot tire. Oh, so another car showed up. Nice. So we have another player that came on, and you can see the difference when we go in the tunnel, but we saw that also on Monaco GP. I only got 1 shot every time it comes on the screen. Oh, I see. Yeah, when the other car that had the yellow tires, I have to shoot the tires on him. What was that ditty at the end? Dun, dun. Oh, it was Ode to Joy. They played Ode to Joy whenever I died. A lot of these games have to go for the free samples of sound, so they're going for most things that are public domain. All right, so we put another quarter in. We're playing again. Mad Alien. There's the Mad Aliens at the top. Can't you tell? It is obviously Mad Aliens. Oh, man. See, the formation of the Mad Aliens is still getting to me. I can't believe it. And they're going for another round, so now the aliens come up to the top of the screen. And it is playing like the Oh man, already dead. It is playing like Galaxian, one shot until it gets to the top of the screen or hits something. So it's not like super action-packed, but still standard for what we've seen from the time. And in fact, since the other Deco cassette game we saw was a Highway Chase, it makes sense that someone wanted to switch out the game and have from Highway Chase to Mad Alien. They just switch out the cassette and they have a slightly different game, just a little bit between. I love the ode to joy at the end of it. All right, so one more time, putting a quarter in and pushing start for Mad Alien by Data East. Something else, though, the game didn't load the Deco cassette. It didn't make us wait. It just went, which I wonder why this one did that, but the other one, we had to wait until it was done. Okay, kind of getting the hang of it. The formation's different because the aliens are moving like in a zigzag pattern, and they'll just jerk over whenever they feel like it. I'm seeing, like in Highway Chase, we had Chris Alimo on the show, and he pointed out that there was a Deco sign for Data East Company, like advertising while we're driving, and I can still see him. I can see him now on the right side of the screen. Okay, here it comes. Gotta shoot the tire. I thought I got it. What? That's not it? There we go. Okay, really tricky on there. But the other enemy comes in and it's not a normal shot. Same with that one. Looks like they're coming in for kamikaze. And you got to go for precision shots. Oh, they got it. There we go. But even on the shot on the tire, it still is going to swerve over and might get you. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's Mad Alien for the arcades. Very similar to Highway Chase, but we'd expect that whenever you go from a cassette to another cassette. Yeah, I'm with the chat. The noise, though, is classic Golden Age arcade. I love it. All right, so for the time, that's pretty standard. I couldn't... I'm going to give it pretty much the same we gave for Highway Chase, which was 3.5 stars. I'm with that. It's above average, and it's unique with the cassette system, but I can't really go for 4 stars. So 3.5 stars for Mad Alien. And after Mad Alien, our next game is Magical Spot 2. Where was Magical Spot 1? Did we see him? Oh, we did! Okay, yeah, so we did see Magical Spot. It was released... We had a release date for it that was earlier. This one was played where you have like larva that's crawling down from the top of the screen. Now, when I say Magical Spot 2, it doesn't mean a technical sequel. All they do is they've changed a few things about the game, and you can get a kit to get an upgrade. And I'm pretty sure this is very similar and just slight differences. Maybe even upgrades to make it for the better. Let's see if we have any artwork for it. Yeah, so you can see the arcade cabinet is the original Magical Spot that we had played earlier in the year. And the controls are just like anything else we've seen in the arcades. Left, right, and fire, at least for shooters. Yep, and the marquee's still Magical Spot. We just have probably slight differences for Magical Spot 2. All right, let's step up and see. This is Magical Spot 2 by Universal in the arcade. So Universal made just a few changes to it. Yeah, you can see similar artwork than what we've seen before. What is different? I was really impressed with the animation. You saw the one creature that was flying. That was done really well. And the way this works is the insect creatures, they come down to the bottom, and when they get to the bottom, they make a larva or cocoon, and if it hatches, it turns into a bigger creature you have to fight. So you're trying to get as many as you can killed before they get to the bottom of the screen. All right, so let's put a quarter in and see if we can spot any differences between Magical Spot 1 and 2. All right, we're pushing start. And we get the little ditty, same as we had for Magical Spot. So in the far end of the screen, we can shoot as they move forward, and if they get smaller, we can still hit them, but it's just a little more difficult. And the shots they fire will negate my shot and make it a little tricky there. So they're making it look like insects crawling at us. But I remember it being very difficult on Magical Spot 1 to get a good shot in because all the shots are going... Oh, that was close. All the shots are going straight down, and and since your shot is only vertical, it's a big difference between playing the... oh, we got one that came down. So you can see it made an egg at the bottom that's starting to hatch. The ship, though, looks a lot like Galaga, which we haven't seen yet. We've only seen Galaxian. But the ship design really close to a Galaga. And this one plays pretty good. I actually can notice the biggest difference is the enemies aren't shooting as dramatic. When we played Magical Spot 1, they were coming down with so many bullets that I could barely get a shot in because I can only shoot up at a time. So they made a few tweaks with Magical Spot 2 to make it a little more playable. But still pretty good. I want to see... I'm actually doing very well. Better than I did when I played the first Magical Spot. We had a lot of enemies that came to the bottom and then hatched, turned into even bigger creatures. Oh, and then he got me. We're still playing on 1/4, which is pretty nice. As far as sound effects, it looks like they're just not emulated. So the shooting of the lasers and the enemies dying, we got nothing. It's silent. Oh, and down. And there it is. So that's the game over. So that creature we seeing flying there, that's what happens after they hatch after their larva stage. Yes, this one. Well, if you're looking at the artwork on the outside, those aren't the pixels. But yeah, we've gotten a lot more from the home computer space than last time, especially if you were here for the Sierra games, Sierra Online. Okay, so Magical Spot 2, pretty much the same as what we saw for the first one. So we're going to go 4 stars. It does play slightly better. It's not as brutal as when we played the first Magical Spot, but essentially the same game. All right, so 4 stars for Magical Spot 2. Let's press on, and what is our next game? Our next game is, Martian Invaders. This is for the Exidy Sorcerer, which is a very rare home computer. The only other time I can think of the Exidy or the company is what we saw in the arcades. They did like Death Race and a few shooters that we saw in the arcades. But this is Exidy's home computer. Didn't even know this existed before I did the channel. Does this load, though, like we say with all home computers? This is Martian Invaders for the Exidy Sorcerer computer. The only artwork we have is that one screenshot, no manual. So we're going to see what happens if we put it in. There's the example of the Sorcerer. It did have cartridges you could put in the side, and that's what we're going to pop in and play. Here we go. This is Martian Invader for the Exidy Sorcerer. Oh, okay, so we got it to pop up there, and then to get it to load, we have to do some finagling. Let's try it again. Oh, there we go. It loads. The Exidy Sorcerer sounds like a dial-up modem while it's loading. Thank you so much for emulating the sound of the Exidy Sorcerer. So this is actually using cassette tapes, not ROM cartridges. And you can see the cassette's loading. I do not want to wait that long, so we're going to go speed it up a little bit. There we go. And it worked. We're in. Does it run, though? It does. Okay, so yeah, we're playing it. This is Martian Invader, and it's Space Invaders for the Exidy Sorcerer. The graphics are extremely rudimentary, but for anybody that's actually played the Sorcerer, at the time, it was a very, very powerful computer. And it had the potential to do what we've seen on the home computer space, and even a little bit more. I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at the top where the score is, the pixels that can be displayed on the screen is a little bit more than what we've seen for other computers. But this game obviously could be programmed much better. I mean, look at the enemies themselves. You can tell that they're not really pushing the system very hard. Most likely programmed by one person, but I find it interesting that they emulated the sound of the cassette tape loading, but then we have no sounds in the game. So I want to have some arcade sounds or laser fire or something. No, we got nothing. It's total silence. But then we have the screeching sound of the cassettes loading. We want the authentic game experience, but only the terrible sounds of the cassette tape. All right, so that was the Exidy Sorcerer home computer, and that was Martian Invaders. From everything else we've seen up to this point, it's really not that good. It's I'm not going to go lower than 2 stars, but we've seen other things you could play on the home computer that do play better and run better. But I'm going to do 2 stars for Martian Invaders. If this was all you had, this was the only computer you got. Let's say your parents didn't know what was the best computer. They didn't know what the Apple II was, and they got you anything, and they got you an Exidy Sorcerer computer. This would be a pretty good game or a fun game to play. But considering everything else, we're going 2 stars, definitely. All right, so after Martian Invaders, our next game is, Math Bingo for the TRS-80 Coco. I don't know, it might be educational. I know several of things on the TRS-80 are. Let's see what happens if we pop it in. For artwork, Math Bingo, that's 2 things I despise, math and bingo. Well, not math, I enjoy math. But for a kid, imagine if your grandmother bought you this for your Coco. Math Bingo. I guess you could play it with your grandmother. She might enjoy playing some Math Bingo. Yeah, it looks like it's math and bingo combined. I just want to boot it up just to see what it's like. Here we go. This is Math Bingo for the TRS-80 color computer. Oh, sweet. So it actually booted up, so that's the first step. And then we'll do a 1-player game. Type the name. The last person in the chat was L. Curtis B. That's my name. What do you want to play? Oh, we want to play Bingo Math, of course. All right, so you answer the math problems, I guess? Is that how it works? Does it work with a controller? Oh, it does. Okay, cool. So you're actually able to play with a... I think it's using the paddle controller. Why is it doing that? I think it's plugged in both a paddle. It has multiple controllers plugged in at once. Let me see if I can fix this. It's got too many things plugged in, like a right analog stick at the same time. And the other one. So let's see if we remove a few of them. Or it has 2 sticks plugged into one. Here, let's do that. Does that work better? No, that's not it. Let's do this one. There. Now. That's a little better. It just says no. And that's it. You just answer math equations and then move around and pick a different one. So that's pretty much it. That's Math Bingo. Not going to go any further with that one. Man, if Grandma bought me that, considering everything else we played at the time. Oh, thank you for the heads up. We need the analog rather than the trackball. So I'll edit that or change it out later. I don't really have the desire to make Math Bingo play better right now. But for the next TRS-80 Coco, definitely. Okay, so if Grandma did give us this, it's not broken, but it's not good. We're going to do 1.5 stars for Math Bingo because it works, but yeah, I'm not going to go broken. I'll go 1.5 stars at least. Okay, so after Math Bingo, please tell us what's next. Our next game is Maze Craze, a game of cops and robbers. Yes, so this is for the Atari 2600. Let's take a look at the artwork for Maze Craze. It's got 16 games on here. Nice. Excellent artwork by Atari, as always. Atari really is going to sell you on the front of the box. What does the front of the box look like? Does it look interesting by the picture? Buy it. Definitely buy it. There's a reconstructed box front. And then for back of the box, nothing about the game. Just the picture of the joystick. All right, so there is our cartridge, Maze Craze. And let's see. We got a manual. All right, we're going to start the game first and then check it out. For different versions, we have a European and North American version. Let's pop it in. Here it is. This is Maze Craze on your Atari 2600 by Atari. And it looks like it is a top-down maze game, but not like you think with Pac-Man. This is literally a maze game. All right, so to play this game, now let's pull up the manual and take a look. Yeah, it's the original manual by Atari. Yes, Maze Craze. The object of the game, each player controls a blue or red cop. Your cop's beat is a maze of city blocks. Nice, they make it like it's a cop on their beat. You must move the cop from the left side of the maze, shown in the diagram, so you can see where the start is and the exit. Maze Craze is played by 1 player, depending on the game number you're playing. See game variations. Oh, nice, you can play 1 player or 2 player. That's great. You're a cop confronting danger and suspense as you and your opponent wind your way across city blocks. The first player to reach the exit on the right side of the maze wins the game. Throughout the game, you may encounter armed robbers, blockades, and other obstacles to prohibit you from finishing your beat. You'll hear the footsteps of cops as well as the sound effects when someone bumps into a dead end, or some special sound effects when someone exits the maze. You'll also experience the unique sound that occurs when a robber captures a cop. Wait, a robber? Okay, so if the bad guys win. The number at the top of the playfield represents the game number, and that's great. They're showing you where the game number is and how fast it is. How fast can your cop react to danger? The number at the top left of the playfield represents the speed of the cops and robbers and how they travel. They have, I love it, medium, fast, slow, and then calculatingly slow. That's awesome. Yeah, so we'll try some of the variations, you bet. And I don't have someone else to play with me, so I'll be playing the one-player version of it. During some games, all or some of the city blocks may suffer blackouts. The top right number of the screen represents the amount of maze you'll see during the game. 1 is a straightforward action all the way through. 2, a small portion of the maze is visible. 3, danger increases, where a large portion becomes invisible, and then the ultimate suspense, where the whole maze is visible, with number 4. And you can see the visibility examples over there on the left side. 1, 2, part of his, and then 3, and then 4 is everything's gone. When a cop exits any of the invisible mazes, the maze appears on the screen. To select a game number, speed, and visibility, press the game select switch. All are available, and we've seen that for the different variations. And then how to use the controller, pretty standard there. For console controls, we have TV's type. Looks like the switching just goes black and white or color. And then for game variations, we have capture, 2, 3, or 5 robbers, wounds. You're paralyzed after robbers touch you. That's awesome. And then terror mode, blockade mode, automatic peek, player peek, scouts. Oh, this is great. So lots of game variations for this one. And there they have the matrix at the very back of the for robber, capture, and so forth. So what we can see is, does it show us? It's only the matrix that shows us the different versions, or what everything's going to do. So 2, 3, 4 show the all the different ways you can play the game. That's awesome. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start on the first one, which is capture. Is that right? No, the first one's auto peek, and then we'll play the other ones after that one. Okay, so resuming, we're going to switch over to color, and this is 1-1-1, so it's only one auto peek game. And when we push start, this is the reset on the console. So now you can see I'm playing as, I'll have to plug 2 controllers in, I bet. Let's see. So you can see I'm playing as 1, trying to get to the end, and then we have the second one. Oh, they're not going. Interesting. I have the second controller plugged in, but it's not registering the second player. And you can see the footstep sounds. Getting to the end of the maze. Whoa, yeah. Definitely know you're at the end of the maze. Wait, so I want to try that again, because the 2 mode, it's not working for my second. Yeah, the second player isn't responding on the screen. And I wonder why it's not letting the second controller work for us. But moving our way around, looks like it's good there. And make your way to the end of the maze. All right, so let's try a different game mode. Let's go for game. Okay, it's just changing the visibility. 3, 4. Yep, got it. And then there we go. We go for game 2. Let's push start on that one, or reset the console on that one. Okay, so here we go. Now we have another robber and another cop to avoid while we're still doing the maze at the same time. Looks like we have to go around this way. Does the second player... I wonder why the second controller isn't working. Because I got another controller plugged in. It should be working for the other player to run around. I'm playing right now as red, and player 2 should be blue. Let's see. Yeah, not getting anything from the second controller. Interesting. All right, so I'm going to make my way around here. Looks like that's not it. I need to go around this way. Can I make it? How do we get from there? And it looks like he wiped someone out. But we now have computer players on the screen for the cops and the robbers. Let's see, it's going this way. I'm already lost in the maze. Where did he go? Oh, he went this way, I see. Got it. That's it. Nice. All right, let's change it up. So every game mode is going to have 3 or the 4 visibility levels. And then we go to the next game mode. We'll go and push start on reset on that one. And then going to check again. Where's my second player? It's reading as the second player, but at least that's me pushing the button for the second player, but the joystick isn't working for us. I wonder why. Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna make my way around. Looks like we have more opposition coming to chase after me. I don't even know if I'm going the right way right now. Okay, he's coming. Let's see if I can dodge. No. Okay, so he hits me, and now I'm down and wounded. Can I get him, the other guy, to come after me and to help? Looks like it'll just time out, so the other person can try to make it while the other person's wounded for the other side. Okay, yeah, this one is excellent game, really fun to play, especially when you have 2 people that can play simultaneously, plus he just took someone else out. Plus you can have the computers, other cops and robbers on the screen at the same time. That is awesome. Okay, so let's check it out. I'm not going to change or play with the visibilities. I'm just going to go to the other game mode, which is, here's game 4, and hitting reset on the console for this one. And looks like we can go this way. Yeah, this is great. So I'm going to refer back to the manual just to show you how the different game modes work. When we're switching out the way we play, you can add 2, 3, or 5 robbers, depending on which game you're playing. And they'll be lurking around corners waiting for you. There were the other dots we saw that were controlled by computers. And then when you have wounds, if you're paralyzed after robbers touch you, only a few moments you'll regain strength, and you can gradually move at your normal speed. A wounded cop continues to move in the same direction that they were headed when wounded. So if you're moving north and you get wounded, you'll continue to move north, but very slow. And then only at the next intersection can you change the cop's direction. And then terror. If your cop cannot exit the maze until your opponent's knocked out by the maze of robbers. And then there's also blockades. You can confuse your opponent by leaving a blockade that resembles a dead end in the maze. And they can go through it, of course, but the blockade is useful for strategy. So you press the red button, leaves a blockade, you can set up a new one, and it will throw the other person off thinking that they have no way to go. So it looks like it's blocked off, but it's really not. And you also have automatic peek. It's your way to see your way out of darkness. So it's almost like thinking of the cop with a flashlight. During the visible mazes or blackouts, the computer flashes the complete maze on the screen every few seconds, and you can recognize a way out before your opponent does. You also have peeking when the game's invisible. A player can peek at the complete maze by pressing the red button, and the maze remains on the screen momentarily. There's also scouts. During the invisible maze, your cop has a partner or a scout that moves ahead of them. Oh, okay, I see. So whenever I was playing before, I thought it was 2 players, but no, that was my scout. And they randomly can lead the way, and you're free to ignore their suggestions. So 1 is a 5 robbers game. 6 is with all of the visibility. Game 7 combines 5 robbers and terror. And then let's try game 7 to see if we can play that one. Yeah, 4K, pretty cool, right? All right, so let's go back. Let's change it up to, okay, I want to do game 7. There. Okay, so I'm hitting reset on game 7. So here we go. We're now playing, and I am the red robber. I think, yeah, because the cop's usually blue. And you can see on the screen we got several different, oh, hello. Let them go that way, then make our way around. And there's still only one way to control. Oh, nope, got me. Okay, so am I wounded? I think I'm still wounded now when he knocks me out. He's going to go for the other guy and hits him out. Lots of fun. Oh, yeah, after you're both down, then that's it. It pretty much makes it a game over. All right, so let's see if I go... Oh, they went right at me. Around the corner. Okay, so let's try a different game mode. Let's see what... we have 8, 9, 10, 11... Okay, let's try game mode 12 and give that one a shot. So this one is... This is the one where you can leave blockade. So you can see I have a spot here that looks like it's a blocked off place, but they can make their way through it. Or you can make your way through it because only you know where it is. Can I take it away? No. Once you lay one, then that's it for the next person. So I'll blast to play Really fun to play, of course, with 2 people. So having someone else to play with, this would be an excellent game for that. How many other game modes do we have? 13, 14, and gonna give that one on. Yeah, so you can see lots of ways to play, and the way that it's programmed, it makes it a lot of fun. So it looks just like your standard maze game, but no, it's more than that. It's actually a really fun game to play. All right, so that was Maze Craze, a game of cops and robbers. That is excellent. For the time, and considering everything else we played, that's a 4-star game. If you think of the home console space, and at this point, the best one we've seen was Space Invaders for the Atari 2600. That was a 5-star game. This one, with all the different game modes, I'm thinking 4 or 4.5 for sure. Yeah, so, 4 stars? Yeah, I'm going 4 for Maze Craze. Big time. All right, so that was 4 stars for Maze Craze. That looks like the end of our evening tonight. We're going to continue playing every video game in order of release. We'll see where it heads, where we go next, and what happens next. Thanks so much for joining me, and we will catch you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without RetroArch and Launchbox. Please tell your friends there's some crazy guy out there trying to play every single video game. You can always check out Chronologically Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We will catch you next time.